That's okay, because they don't need to hear me talking. All right, excellent. So we're going to get started then. If we get started a couple minutes early, we'll get you guys out a couple minutes early. Welcome, everyone, tonight to our Investors Performance Group meeting for June. How you guys doing tonight? Let's get some energy in the room. Excellent, excellent. The reason why I want some energy in the room is because we have some exciting speakers for you guys tonight. I'm excited to hear from all of them. They're all going to be bringing a different perspective on real estate tonight, and that's kind of what this group is all about, is hearing different perspectives, taking those nuggets that you've learned from other people and implementing them into your own business. Now, for those of you guys who don't know me, how many of you guys are here for the first time? Show of hands. All right, we've got a few people here. Excellent. Well, welcome, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Cameron. I am the Director of Sales for the Kelly Fry team, and this is the Investors Performance Group. As I said, we are sponsored by the Kelly Fry team. We are a full-service real estate investment team, helping you guys build your portfolios throughout the Lower Mainland, Fraser Valley, and if you guys have any questions or you need any services, anything like that, let us know. So we have the service providers to help you guys build those portfolios. All right, we're not going to hear too much from me tonight. I'm just going to be mostly hosting it because I've got a great lineup of speakers for you guys tonight. You'll hear from me a little bit. But starting things off, we're going to bring up Michael Brown with the Green Mortgage team, finding out what on earth is going on with interest rates right now. Everyone knows on Wednesday last week, they just increased the interest rate by another 0.25%, right? That's why we're bringing Mike out, finding out what his predictions are, what's going on in the mortgage industry. We have a very popular segment that we do every single month. We're going into season 7, episode 6, called Tales from the Trenches. The reason why it's very popular is, well, you'll find out, okay? We've got another amazing guest speaker, Marinella Nicolosi. She's going to be coming out and talking. She is the private lending queen, and we are excited to have her come and talk about the options of private lending, especially in some of those uncertain times where you don't know if you want to buy a property in case, you know, the interest rates go up, and what if properties come down? This could be another option for you guys to invest in to generate some additional you'd be earning interest, but we'll let her talk about that. We've got a series of unfortunate Airbnb adventures similar to our Tales from the Trenches. This is to talk about what is going on that could happen to you if you run Airbnbs. Again, more just to prepare you guys of the what ifs as landlords and as Airbnb hosts. We need to know these things. We've got Chilliwack at a Glance by our own Elisa Donnelly. We're going to be doing our final guest speaker is Saromi and Shin. So they're going to be talking about what they're doing to dominate in Harrison Hot Springs area. And I'm excited to hear from them. And then lastly, we'll finish it up with some market updates and a hot deal for you guys, like literally hot off the press. So we're going to go through that. So without further ado, before we get started, I guess, let's talk about this. We have some great prizes for you guys here tonight. We're going to be giving away 2 books tonight. First one is The Millionaire Real Estate Investor by Gary Keller. Has anyone read this book? Couple people, one person. Excellent. Well, that means you want to enter in to win this tonight because there's some awesome information in here written by Gary Keller, founder of Keller Williams, who happens to be the brokerage that we're associated with. And then the RRSP Secret as our grand prize. So we're going to be giving away 2 books tonight. This is a great book to learn how to utilize your RRSPs to do other lending as well. How you participate and have a chance to enter and to win those is by participating with us on social media. So you take photos, take videos, post them on your stories, post them on your pages, use the hashtag Investors Performance Group or IPG 2023, and make sure you tag the Kelly Fry team using @KellyFryTeam. That way, Sophie, as you can see, taking a photo, she's going to be paying attention to who is participating, and then she's going to be picking a winner at the end of the night for both of those books. So we're excited for that. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to bring up our first speaker of the night, Mr. Michael Brown. Michael is a senior account manager with one of the top investment mortgage brokerages here in Canada, top 15. He also specializes working with a lot of my investors, in fact. I think I'm emailing you new contacts every week, at least twice a week right now. So this guy is absolutely taking great care of my clients. He leverages his extensive market knowledge and analytical skills to help them achieve their financial goals. So without further ado, we're going to bring him on up. We're going to mic him up, and we're going to bring up his presentation. Michael, come on up. All right, buddy. Okay, I'm going to clip that onto you right there so everyone on YouTube can hear you.
Sweet.
And then I'll bring up your presentation. Feel free to introduce yourself, do what you need. Slideshow, play from start. There we go.
Sweet.
That's yours. So just hit the down button and you're good to go.
Cool. I'm just going to really quickly take a photo as well here. So everyone say cheese. There we go. Sweet. Hi, guys. My name is Mike from Green Mortgage Team, Senior Account Manager, as Cam kindly said. So I'm going to talk today about the market. Obviously, everyone's aware of how many big changes there's been in the market, especially with rates, real estate, and regulations. So I'm going to go through as much as possible. I will warn you guys, I'm a bit pessimistic in this slideshow. It's not meant to scare you guys, just to bring some realistic numbers to your analysis when you're running numbers. It is important as real estate investors to make sure that you're considering risks and how to mitigate risks when you're building your portfolio. So first, Green Mortgage Team was founded by Kyle. Kyle's been doing mortgages for 15, 16 years. I never really remember the number. We're a boutique mortgage brokerage specializing in investor financing. So we do a lot of building portfolios, refinancing, short-term rentals, burst strategies, and everything in between. So current rates is probably what everyone's going to be hoping for. Made this fun graph, realizing you probably can't read the numbers from where you're sitting. Long story short, the rates go from quite high in the shorter term, and they go lower as you go longer. Currently, the low range is between 609 and 694 for 1 year, and the best rates go on 5 year for 519 to 629. A variable's quite high. So what's happened over the past few months is lenders have been adding premiums onto their variable rates due to market risk, basically so they don't lose their money. Some expected and recent changes in the mortgage market. So the biggest one, a lot of people here may be familiar with, but a lot of our investor clients have been asking about the CMHC MLI Select product. This is for multifamily properties, so anything 5 units and over. It's a newer product that CMHC's put out. Basically, they've been offering very, very low rates. A lot of them have been below where residential is, and it can go up to 50-year amortization and lower down payment. What's happened is that because it's such a good product, there's a significant amount of product or a significant amount of demand on market. So a lot of people have been applying for it. I go on Twitter for a lot of my news and updates, but there's 2,200 files in the queue for CMHC. So this is a new product. And this was another update, over 6 months of funding. So if you're looking for commercial financing, just be aware of like timelines. What we're seeing is really common is people may close with private financing and then refinance with the better A-lender financing. Bank of Canada, again, I wasn't aware of how small the screen was, so I apologize if you can't see. Top left is the inflation rate. What's happened recently, and the main reason that Bank of Canada has increased their rate is we did have inflation tick higher on the last reading. It was coming lower, and so they decided to pause, ticked higher, and they raised rates last week. CPI is the next one. So this is the actual prices. So as you can see, the basket of goods, for those that don't know what CPI is, they look at a bunch of goods and services throughout Canada, and they use that to determine the price of goods. So this is showing basically where your dollar goes. In July 2021 is 141, and it crept all the way up to 156 in April. So it's gone up quite a bit. Bottom left, I think, is probably the most interesting graph that I've seen recently. So this is GDP growth for the G7. This one that you probably can't read, the second one is Canada. Top one is US. So why this is important is Canada's actually very strongly come back from the market from a GDP perspective, which is another indication of why inflation has been so high, and another reason why the Bank of Canada has been aggressive with cutting rates, or raising rates, sorry. And lastly, the Canadian overnight rate, you can clearly see like a very high spike in where rates are going here. Capital tightening. So some of the updates that are currently happening that we're seeing on market is, in general, lenders are tightening and regulators are tightening the capital markets. So we're seeing different things like reduced loan to values. This is becoming very popular. We have quite a few credit unions and smaller banks that have been reducing their maximum loan to value, even on the residential side. So in some cases, you have to be aware that you may need more down payment, especially if you have a larger portfolio. Other things are construction financing is becoming very difficult. So a lot of A lenders are actually reducing the amount of construction financing that they'll take on. Many A lenders and banks have actually just stopped offering it in general. And also private lenders have been reducing loan to values significantly. Fewer exceptions is a very important one as well, especially for real estate investors growing a portfolio. Generally, when you're growing the portfolio, you're asking for a lot of exceptions to guidelines. They were really quite easy in 2021 and 2022. Lenders were handing money out basically, so there's a lot of exceptions to guidelines out there. As of recently, we've been seeing everyone tightening up, and exceptions are becoming really challenging, and most lenders are not even offering exceptions. Some upcoming stuff. So this is important. OSFI is the regulators above lenders, so they're the ones that really control everything financial in the country. Big change that came out, it was announced months ago, is I think around November or so, that combined loan products are going to be reduced in loan to value. So for those that have readvanceable mortgages, doing the Smith maneuver or looking to access their equity in HELOCs, they're trying to reduce and cap the total loan to value to 65%. We've only heard from one lender how it's going to be implemented. It's a little bit complicated to try to explain on this. So if you're interested, reach out. But it's not an immediate effect, but it will be coming into play in Q2, Q3. It should be a gradual change for the loan to value. GDS, TDS ratios. So the OSFI has been talking to the big banks as well about the GDS, TDS. So these are the debt servicing ratios or expenses divided by income. It's how almost every lender looks at their guidelines. Because of all the exceptions and all of the extra products like net worth products and corporate net income products that different lenders have, the ratios on average at the banks have been very high over the last few years. OSFI has come in and is taking a look at that average and looking to reduce it. We don't know what that's going to look like. It might be a reduction or further reduction on exceptions. It might be a reduction on number of products. It's unclear. They are still talking to the banks and taking it through engagement. And that's kind of what the last part is unexpected announcements are probably going to be coming in the fall to winter. We're kind of expecting likely a reduction again in loan to value from a regulatory perspective. So there might be higher down payment requirements for rental properties. Oh, but we don't know. So just kind of putting that out there. We don't know exactly how it's going to play. The first one's the only one that's actually been discussed. And again, only one lender's really come forward to say how it's going to look. Something I'm personally kind of interested in, so this is more of a personal thing, the missing middle. So as everyone is probably aware, there is a housing shortage in Canada. It's been something that a lot of real estate professionals have been talking about for years, and it's been a big issue that most people are now talking about. It's in a lot of the news articles. The government's finally gotten on board, so we're seeing a lot of provinces and municipalities starting to adjust and change their zoning bylaws. So there's many cities that are currently in public engagement and in different sections and phases of bylaw changes. And so this is a really interesting potential opportunity in the future. As real estate markets get tight, cash flow gets tight, it might be something to take a look at. What a lot of cities are looking at is for single family homes and residential areas to be able to allow up to 4 units on a property. So we might see a lot of money flooding into the development space. But don't forget, diamonds are forged under pressure. So even though I'm being quite pessimistic in some of these things, again, it's just to be realistic. I've seen a lot of people run numbers over the last few years, especially when rates were low, and get caught up in having a low rate and not having enough cash flow to run their numbers. So we just really want to be making sure that we're looking at risk, especially in volatile times. And that's, I don't know if that was 15 minutes, but felt probably too quick. Thanks, guys. If you have any questions or anything, QR code goes straight to my consulting link. We can have a chat about rates, where things are going, or pre-qualification.
Excellent. Well, we got you here. We got about 5 minutes or so. Does anyone have any questions? Right away. Always happens. Furman. Yeah. And just we'll get you to repeat the questions back just for those on YouTube. Okay. So if I had a kilo already that was the ratio where 80% and it was given to me 10 years ago, yeah, would that be in place or will it be affected in the future?
Gotcha. So you're asking about the HELOC, the combined loan product reduction in loan to value. Maybe I'll just since I have time, I'll just explain. One lender's come out to talk about it, Scotiabank. So basically what it is when you're getting these combined loan products, you have a mortgage and a HELOC. The global limit is the total amount of debt. So the mortgage plus the HELOC, let's put this down. It's the total amount. So that's what you get at 80%. As you pay the mortgage down, the line of credit increases. The regulation is the maximum, as it stands, the HELOC can go up to 65. So it grow until it gets to 65. And then you're just paying the mortgage off and it shrinks. What's changed now is you have this global limit. And I can't remember if it was 20 years or 25 years. I think it's 20 years. In 20 years, this global limit has to be reduced to 65% on a straight line balance. So as you can pay the mortgage down really aggressively and can go down like this, but the global limit is going to change like this. One of the interesting things that it sounds like is you can refinance at any time back up to 80%. That 65% at the end is based off of the appraised value at the time of funding. And so this is going to be applicable to all HELOC, mortgage HELOC products. With Scotia specifically, I don't know about the other lenders as of yet. But if you buy something or already have something, it will be applicable.
Okay, I got a quick question.
Yep.
What is your go-to lender right now dealing with first-time investors? And what's your go-to lender for someone who's more seasoned and has a little more complicated portfolio?
It's a good question. Do I have to?
Yeah, no, they heard me.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good question. First-time investors, I really like TD still. I find them really easy to use. They do have good rates. But more importantly, they're probably the easiest to process from like a documents perspective. For more advanced real estate investors, we've actually, Scotiabank's been one of our top ones until recently. Their rates have been kept very high. So we've actually switched over to lenders such as KEB or Shinhan. They're foreign banks that have Canadian subsidiaries. They do follow Canadian guidelines as well. Their rates have been below market until recently. They did raise the rates a few days ago, but they have had probably the best rates on market. Reason we use them is that they have really, really good rental policies. So the way that they treat rental income while building the portfolio is actually very strong. The biggest downside is they're very challenging to use and they're very document heavy. So if you're not a document person, probably not a good direction to go. If you're okay collecting a bunch of documents, they're a fantastic lender. They're one of the ones also that have been reducing their loan to value. So they have been a lot stricter on their loan sizes.
Excellent. Yes, we got someone on YouTube.
Yeah. Julia's wondering, will the HELOC changes only apply to new HELOCs granted or existing HELOCs?
So the question was if it's only applicable to new or old HELOCs for the combined loan product. It's for all existing and new. So anything that would be there, to the best of my knowledge, will be reduced. The reason they can do that is that a HELOC is actually a demand loan. So they can actually take away the HELOC at whim if they choose to.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
so you're going to be sticking around, right?
Yeah, I'll be around for questions if anyone.
Excellent. So Michael will be around to the end of the night. And if you guys have further questions, you can grab him or grab his card and make sure you set up a consultation with him. All right, we're going to move things along here. So you can bring up my presentation again for the YouTube folks. Here. That one. All right. Okay, so let's get moving here. We're going to move into some of our regulars' favorite segment. And this one hits a little closer to home, unfortunately. For me, I'm going to be leading this Tales from the Trenches. It actually hits basically every one of our team members, too. But tonight's Tales from the Trenches, it all went up in flames. Now, some of you guys may or may not have heard what happened in Maple Ridge recently, but we're going to cover that story, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's going to happen to the investors with this scenario. So with that, I'm going to start it off with a video. So I'm just going to click here, and yeah, they can still see that. Perfect. We're going to skip this ad. Hopefully the audio works. Okay, let's pause out. Let's get the audio working here. Can you just mute me? unmute me? There we go. Yeah. For everyone on Zoom. Where is that coming from? Okay, there we go. I think we got it fixed. Okay, so basically, what they talk about there is a building in Maple Ridge has caught fire. It happened at around midnight on Saturday last weekend. Not only did this building burn down to the ground, it also took with it several neighboring properties and another one of the already finished and built neighboring property as well. So there's been significant damage with this fire. Let's just go back to the presentation. I've got some pictures that you guys can see. There we go. All right. So again, I'll play these. You're not going to hear it, but you can see the video there. These are from TikTok that we grabbed. So this is a neighboring property. This is several blocks over, but you can see the height of the flames there. It's pretty devastating. And then you won't be able to hear it, but in this video, what ends up happening is you can hear some screeching happening. This is the building next door where all the propane tanks started going, right? Now, the reason why I wanted the audio, but again, it's not working right now, is because it's amazing to watch the technology we have nowadays where all of these propane tanks did not explode. They are designed to withstand heat and have pressure releases to be able to withstand that. Because if not, this whole building would have multiple explosions, right? So, but it was scary to hear. Like I've never heard something like that in my life. So let's skip that there. And yeah, so some articles here. Maple Ridge Fire Chief gives update on downtown fire. More than 50 firefighters were used to extinguish. They had firefighters coming from Maple Ridge, Pitt Meadows, Mission, basically all the surrounding communities were lending firefighters to help with this. And one of the big saving graces that was talked about in one of the news articles, and you can check this out, was thank God we had rain on Saturday, because they were saying that if we didn't have the rain, this fire, how big it was, could have taken out up to 6 to 8 city blocks with how bad it was. The debris from this building ended up way far away into neighboring, like almost into the agricultural land, right? Big, huge chunks of debris. Now, what caused the fire? The police are still investigating it right now. I mean, it's shocking to see something like that happen. The building was at the point where it, you can see here, due to the intensity of fire spreading throughout neighboring buildings, the new building had no fire breaks, no exterior cladding to slow the fire, and the sprinkler system had not been installed yet because it was under construction, right? So had all that been installed, it might have slowed the spread of the fire. But because this was just one big tinderbox, when this thing went, it basically went straight up and then, of course, spread into the neighboring properties, right? This is the aftermath you can see here. This is the building. Now, all the frame was up and they were just starting to do the exterior work on it, right? All you can see now is just, like you can see, this is the elevator shaft. So that's all that's left in the building itself. And you can see this is the neighboring building. Now, this one was occupied. So every single one of those owners or tenants have been misplaced now from it. I myself had clients who had bought in that building in the past, living there. So again, like I said, it does hit close to home for us because we've been involved in these sales. Now, some of you may or may not have remembered about a year and a half ago, we were promoting a project called Edge 3 in Maple Ridge. This was the Edge 3. It's a 42-unit building in which we sold 20 units out of the building. So over half of the building. I myself bought a unit in there. Our team all pitched in, bought a unit in there. And again, so now all of our investors obviously saw that. And we're at a point where we don't know what's going on. The developer is still working on talking to the police, talking to fire, talking to insurance. From the conversations we've had with him, they're planning on immediately starting as quick as they can to rebuild once they figure out insurance. And the lucky thing is they were doing a lot of stuff prefab. So they were working in a big warehouse, making all the walls, getting it ready, shipping them, putting them up. So they're not building it as much on site. So that should allow it to go quick once they get in there and can assess the damage to the structure, like the parkade structure and everything like that. So they do plan on rebuilding right away. Here's another video that you can just see the aftermath. This is the next morning. Yeah, it's pretty devastating. So the lessons here as an investor, because we always have to do a lesson. The reason why we do these segments is to show you, unfortunately, the uglier side of real estate, but to know how to either, one, deal with it if it does happen to you, or B, be able to avoid it in general. Now, we can't obviously avoid something like this. However, there's a couple of things that can happen, and we got some experts who've dealt with developers in the past, so she can definitely shed light on this. But in this case, in the contracts, in most development contracts, there's something called force majeure. So force majeure basically states that if there's anything that happens to the development that's out of the developer's control, flood, fire, earthquakes, acts of God, natural disasters, that they can then delay completion based on the timeline in which they've been delayed. So this development has an outside date of May 2024. Now, the estimated completion was supposed to be for October, November this year. All developments have what's called an outside date in which they have to have the development done, or two things happen. They either get everyone to sign an extension, or they can cancel the contracts and return all the deposits. Now, in this case, they could opt to do that. And in my opinion, as an investor, that would be the worst case scenario, getting my deposit back, because now I've tied up that money for the last year and a half and I've made nothing on it. So I would rather myself see the developer, push forward with the development, work on doing the work, delaying it. Hey, if the market starts continuing to pick up, maybe we'll get a bit more appreciation. So there's always that silver lining. But just understanding that there are always risks involved in any type of investment that you do. Now, I've been selling pre-sales for about 7 years now. I have never had this happen to me. So this is a first, and it doesn't happen often. So don't get scared by that, buying pre-sales. But we just thought it's a good understanding of what's in your contracts and how to interpret them. So again, always read your contracts. With pre-sales, I always recommend, it's the only time you'll ever hear me say this, sign first, read later, because you do have your ROR period, the right of rescission, but make sure you understand what's in those contracts and how it affects you if something like this were to happen. Now, anyone who's planning on moving in, because we have sold several assignments, unfortunately, those people who planned on their move for October, November, they're now obviously going to be more impacted than the investors who now just have to sit and wait, right? So that is our Tales from the Trenches for this month. This, again, a little different. We do a lot of tenant-based ones, but we thought this was an important one to share with you guys today. All right, we're going to bring up our next guest speaker, Marinella Nicolosi. Come on up. So Marinella is a real estate investor and a mentor for the SMART Masterclass and director of the SMART Private Lending. She's transacted over 35 private lending deals in the past 2 years, deepening her experience and grew her knowledge and achieved wealth building goals in only 2.5 years. She's also created the SMART strategy that she uses daily and teaches others for how to achieve their private lending goals. So without further ado, welcome to our stage. Appreciate it. I know they already gave you a round of applause, but we're going to give you that. And do you still want your presentation, or you just want to
I think I'm just going to talk.
Absolutely.
I prepared the presentation, but I feel like I don't really know a lot. I know a few, but I think it's probably better to just, tell you who I am and how I got here. And so I grew up in Italy. I came to Canada in 1996, and because my ex is Canadian, so I thank him for now becoming a Canadian citizen. And I never really, like, my parents were both real estate investors, they were entrepreneurs. So I grew up with those type of, talks, because in Italy, you do business, basically you invite your business partners for lunch, because that's our main meal. And my parents had guests all the time, and they were all their business partners or real estate investors. And so I grew up talking about, like, listening to those talks. But I never really been interested in real estate until I was in my late 40s, actually. So my parents were involved. I told them, never leave me anything. I didn't want any properties. I didn't want anything. I didn't want anything to do with real estate. Although they did. And but then I had to deal with this stuff. And for me, it was a little bit of a headache, honestly. But then, when I came to Canada, when I was 26 years old, and I was married with my ex, we started doing some flipping. And I never really thought about getting into it. But like I said, I started to really get serious about real estate and private lending in 2019. And This is about 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago. And for me, it was like when I discovered the private lending strategy, was like a godsend because I'm a single mom at this point. I had a full-time job and I wanted to increase my income. And so at that point, I was like, wow, do you mean that I can use my money to invest and make a return on investment? And I don't have to work for it. And I was like, this is great, because I knew what it means to do flips and to deal with contractors. And I mean, there's some really great contractors out there, but the majority are paying in the whatever. So I didn't really want to deal with that kind of stuff. I didn't want to deal with tenants. Because I knew from experience from my parents, they had to deal with a lot of stuff. So I really didn't want to deal any of that stuff. So when I discovered the private lending strategy, for me, that was the go-to. And so I had to learn about it. I really started talking to people, started networking, and I learned about it on my own, really. And so when I felt comfortable, it took about, I would say, 9 to 10 months to really understand the strategy, to create a business sort of plan for myself, create a really good business foundation, create systems. When I felt comfortable and I knew my vision, my goals, what I wanted to get from that point, from point A to point B, basically, I started lending my money. Now, during those 9 months, I secured a HELOC on my house. I had no mortgage on my house. And so with that money, I started investing. And things started rolling, right? I created all my systems. I started being very creative. I'm a very creative person. I am a designer. And so the way I think, I'm very creative on everything that I do. And that reflected also in my investing. So I'm very smart and creative the way I invest my money. So, and depending on which funds, I invested with certain strategies. And all that, it really helped me to maximize my investments. And that's why I did really well. I'm also very careful at the timelines. I talk with a lot of investors. Oh yeah, I have an investment, is due now. Now I have to think about, investing again, but I'm going to wait until my money comes back. Well, you have to be quick in private lending, because you can't wait. If your money sits in the bank, your money does not generate any income. So you have to think smart. You have to be quick you have to have a really good network around you, so that before your money comes back to you, you're going to reinvest it. You know exactly where it's going, so that it might stay in the bank for a week. Or maybe you have dealing with the borrowers who really like you and you like them because you've established a really good relationship with them. So your money doesn't even come back. You reinvested in a different project. So those are the type of things that I've implemented for myself, where I am very careful with who I invest, but also have very strategic systems that I've implemented in order for my money to continuously work for me. And a lot of people say, well, don't you do active? And like I said, I don't want to do any active. And they're like, yeah, but you don't really make a lot of money when it comes to private lending. It's not the same. How many hours does an active investor put in to search for properties? Countless hours to look for a property that works for you, to do all the numbers. When you actually calculate the amount of hours that you put in and all the effort that you put in, I want you to calculate your ROI. If you calculate the time that you spent in searching for all the properties, you make less than I do, because I've invested very little time. So you can't say that to me. I make a lot more than an active investor because I do not work for it. My money works for me. I spend very little time in working. I have the borrower does all the work for me. All I have to do is do my due diligence, making sure that the borrower is trustworthy, takes responsibility for the fund that I'm giving to them. It shows me that I can trust them. They have to prove me that I can trust them. I'm not just going to hand you my money. You have to prove me that you're trustworthy, that you have put everything in place for me so that my funds are protected and that your project is going to be very successful. And I'm going to hold you accountable for that. So it's very important that you do your due diligence on the borrowers you work with. You want to establish a really good network around you of people, of experts, with lawyers, accountants, financial advisors, insurance brokers, people who can help you to be successful, because you want to consult with them. You want to make sure that you have people around you who help you in your private lending path. Because you need to. There's so many different agreements. There's so many different strategies. And as much as you know, private lending is a very layered strategy, and you can never really understand it fully because there is so much to it. And that's why you need lawyers. That's why you need professionals around you as well, who can help you to read the fine prints of certain, agreements. Because we are not experts, right? We are investors. We don't know all of it. And we have to be humble. Otherwise, we can get in trouble. And I hear a lot of people come to me and say, yeah, I'm going to try this. I'm going to see how it works. Never do that. Private lenders make sure, professional private lenders make sure that you don't leave any chances. Of course, things happen. Things can happen really quickly, like the fire, right? There's things that you cannot predict. However, if you have done your due diligence, if you talk to your borrower who has the right insurance, right? I'm sure that this builder has the right, hopefully has the right insurance. I'm hoping, right? But that's why you have to take the contract to your lawyer, making sure that all those permits and all those insurance are in place, the right insurance, right? You got to make sure of that. As a private lender, you got to make sure that all the paperwork is in place. And that's where the due diligence is. That the borrower is the right person for you, aligns with your vision. You need to know what your goals are. You have to have a very clear vision. You have to have, don't get distracted by shiny objects. Stay focused, because that's what I did. That's why it works for me. Because I know very well my lending criteria. I've established my lending criteria. I know exactly what I'm looking for. When I see it, I'm going to grab it. I'm not like, oh, maybe this or maybe that. No, I know what I want. I see it, and I'm going to contact that person. And if I like the project, I'm going to pursue it. If I don't, within 30 seconds, I know exactly if something is for me or not, because I know exactly what I want. And that's what you need to do. A lot of investors see, oh, maybe I want to do this strategy. Maybe I'm there. Stay focused, because that's the secret. Stay focused, not what you want. Because if you have your hands into many things, you're never going to accomplish anything. That doesn't mean that you do one strategy now and you can't do one later. But, stay focused on what you want. Because otherwise you get too much distracted and you're never going to accomplish anything. So my advice really is just learn the strategy that you want to implement really well. Take your time. I had people around me during those 9 months, 10 months, doing so many different things. And I was really happy for them. I did nothing. It's not that I did nothing. I did all the background work. I created a really solid foundation for myself. Because if you have a house with a foundation that is not strong, it's going to fall. And that's what I did. In those 9 months, I created a really solid foundation for myself. I educated myself. I created all my systems. I knew exactly what was my vision, where I wanted to be. And when I was ready, I started acting. I took action. But I already knew what I wanted to do. I already knew what it is that I wanted to look for. I started doing all the networking. I started connecting with people. And that's what you need to do on a constant basis. You need to invest in people. Invest in your people skills. Because otherwise, all your business is based on people skills. You need to know how to talk and interact with people. You need to know how to making sure that you show respect to people. People come to me and ask me for my money. They go to my appointment, they set up a Zoom call, they don't even show up. Why? Because I told them that I don't have any funds right now. And then I'm on Zoom waiting for them. I'm like, hey, texting him, I'm here on Zoom for you. Oh, but you told me that you don't have any funds right now. Will I ever work with this person? Never. Because you don't even, totally you make an appointment. I'm there on Zoom waiting for you. You don't even show up. What you can do is to talk to me. Because now you're taking advantage of me at my time. I don't have time for these people. I want people who come, show up, get to know me, and then maybe I'll give you my money. Because me as a private lender, I am an asset for you. And you need to show me respect. You need to show up. You need to invest in your time because I made time for you. If you don't have my money, you can't fund your project. So you need to show respect. It's very important how you treat people. You need to show respect as a borrower. Also as a lender. There are lenders out there who take advantage. If you as a borrower are over-leveraged, there are lenders who will look for over-leveraged borrowers. And they will do everything in their power to bring you down. So you as a borrower need to make sure that you do your due diligence on any lender as well. Because maybe I am a drug dealer who goes and make money and then start investing in real estate. So you need to make sure that I'm not a drug dealer because you need to know where the money is coming from. It's both ways. You need to be smart as a borrower, as a lender. And you need to show respect to people. You need to appreciate people. You need to appreciate your lenders. And lenders have to appreciate the borrowers because there's some great borrowers out there who are really trying really hard to bring some really solid investments. We have a few here. I see some really nice faces that I trust. People who I trust, they are putting their heart and soul in what they're doing because they want to provide value. Me as a lender, I want to provide value too. Because I want to support those borrowers who put their heart and soul into real estate. I want to provide value to anyone, right? We need housing, right? We need to work together in this because there's a lot of opportunities out there. However, don't just chase money. Do it for a good cause because we need to provide value. This is why you become successful. It's not because you're chasing money because you want to become rich. It's because you provide value. This is what people want to see. It's the value that you bring to them. Why is my Smart Masterclass, my private lending course successful? Because I provide value. Because when you finish my course, here I have a few students in here, they feel powerful. I have empowered them. Whether you are a borrower or you're a lender, when you take my course, you become so powerful because now you have learned so much that you feel like you can conquer the world with value. You provide so much value. So this is how, I'm going to end.
All right. I don't know about you guys, but I can feel the passion in that speech. That was like, I'm like riled up, ready to go. I'm like, who can I lend some money to? All right. We're going to open it up to a couple of questions if you have it. So if anyone has any questions on anything she just talked about, her course or anything private lending, fire them up here. And same with you guys on YouTube. You know, fire your questions in the chat, and Sophie will let me know what they are. So, Herman, yes.
Oh yeah, you can. They are on my presentation.
All right, there we go.
There should be a slide with the contact information and there.
Right. Okay. I will bring that up on. I'm going to turn this one off. And then. All right. Can you see it there?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook, on Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you want to join my group on Facebook, the Smart Private Lending Group, whether you're a borrower or a lender, it's a great place to be because, you can post, your investments in there. Naturally, you need to follow the rules of the group because we don't post any ROIs or any projections of returns because we want to make sure that Securities Commission doesn't chase us. So you got to be really clean, really clear that you are in there, but you just present yourself and network with people. There's a lot of lenders in there. There's a lot of borrowers. There's a lot of opportunities.
Excellent.
So that's a group. That the other one that I have is called Higher Ground as well. That's only by invite. It's basically a Canadian networking event online. So if you are interested, again, contact me. You can be a featured investors in there as well. And there is some really big names in there as well.
Excellent.
So if anybody wants to, like I said, contact me. Facebook, Marinella Nicolosi, don't just friend me. I do not accept your friend request unless I know who you are. And so send me maybe a text or like a messenger, talk to me, let me know who you are. And then if I like you, I will friend you.
Sounds good. Awesome. Now I got a quick question for you here.
Yes.
Seeing as we just heard from Michael Brown, what's going on in interest rates from the general lenders, what are you seeing right now as a private lender is the average going rate that you see most people charging?
Myself, I actually go with my own rates. So if you want to work with me, I charge not less than 17 to 18%.
There you go. Not too bad for your money, eh?
Yeah. So it really depends on what you're using as well, right? Yeah. I'm using my HELOC, so I cannot take less than 17%. Otherwise, I make no money, right?
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line. And I wasn't always like this, right? But I have, as the interest rates increase, I have to increase mine too. And honestly, my actually average is 18 to 19%.
Phenomenal.
So there is a lot of opportunities out there, guys. Depends on what you want. You just have to find the right people to work with. And also, you don't have to be super rich. Like I said, if you own a house, you can secure a HELOC on it. Start with that. There's a lot of funds that take only $5,000, $10,000. If you have like $5,000, $10,000 sitting in the bank, but just let it sit there. It can generate some money, which start accruing over time. So be smart the way you use your money. Be careful. Like instead of spending, your latte for your latte every single day, honestly, I'm not kidding. The money that you spend, just be careful what you do with your money. Be smart with it. Buy your coffee machine and make it at home. It's cheaper. Buy a fancy one. I'm telling you, it's going to be less expensive.
Love it. All right, we got someone on YouTube asking a question. So generally speaking, what type of deals and sizes of deals do you recommend for beginners to build up confidence as a private lender?
Yeah, so as beginners, I always say make sure that you might go with a secured type of investments. Mm-hmm. I am very big on unsecured type because that's why I get those type of returns. But to start with, first of all, educate yourself.
Sign up for Marinella's course to do that.
It's very important to know what you're doing, and it's very important to understand how to protect your investment. private lending, it's all about prevention. If you end up in court, that's too late. You can say goodbye to your money, whether it's secured or unsecured, because even if it's secured and if it's a secured investment, it's a mortgage, first position mortgage. In British Columbia, it may take a whole year before you get even maybe see your money. So you don't want to end up in court, because by the time the court process and all of that, it's gonna, your money is probably you won't recuperate. Not only that, but the lawyers, it's a minimum of $25,000 to deal with lawyers to go to court and start getting all this process in place. So private lending, it's all about prevention. So do your due diligence before. Invest in people. Don't just look at the rates.
Yeah.
Don't just look at the rate. Invest in people, like I said. Build up your people skills because we are investing in people, really.
Yeah.
You need to look at the person who you're investing with, if they align who they are, because even if something goes wrong and you're dealing with a trustworthy borrower, they will do everything in their power to give you your money back. They will sell all the properties in order to give you the money back. But if you deal with somebody who is not gonna do that, you'll never see your money.
Mm-hmm.
No matter whether it's a mortgage or first position or third or whatever it is, or unsecured, you need to find the right people to work with. And there's a lot of out there.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of out there.
All right, excellent. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Big round of applause. Thank you. Appreciate
so
it.
much.
You're welcome. Excellent. Again, if you guys want to get in contact with Marinella, highly recommend it. If you guys want to start looking at options for private lending, I'm a big fan of private lending, and I really like what she said too about. I'm gonna phrase it differently, but she said be consistent in it. Pick your strategy. One thing a mentor of mine taught me many years ago was a term called consistent persistence. Right, so always be focusing on that strategy. Build up that muscle to be able to continue. Like you see a deal, you can jump on it because you're so skilled at that one deal. All right, we're going to keep things rolling along. Before we do, I just want to remind everyone we're still running our contest. We're seeing some of the posts coming in, and it's super neat what you guys are doing. So we're loving it. Keep posting, take photos, take videos, tag us on Instagram or Facebook using the hashtag Investors Performance Group and IPG 2023. And don't forget to tag the Kelly Fry team on either of those platforms so we see it. And we're going to be drawing at the end of the night for these two great books. Again, we're going to be doing a first and a second prize. So the most creative posts are going to win. All right, with that being said, we're going to move into our next segment here. This is a series of unfortunate Airbnb adventures. Now, just like Tales from the Trenches, we decided to make this its own segment because so many of our clients are moving to the Airbnb strategy because, well, it makes sense to maximize cash flow here in the Lower Mainland and Fraser Valley. However, it comes not without its own challenges. So we wanted to bring some of those to light when they happen. Same thing. So if it happens to you, you have either two things you can do. One, learn how to avoid it altogether, or two, if it happens, how to deal with it. And with that being said, we're going to bring up Diane Betancourt from our team because she handles a lot of the stuff that happens behind the scenes for Kelly. So without further ado, Diane Betancourt, bring her on up. There's you can just clip it onto you. All right, and today's episode 6. Here we go again.
Yes. So I just want to start off by saying it's very important to have a team. And never say that your weekend's going good because something will end up happening. So I'm going to say that this one here, we had just said, Kelly and I, we were speaking, we're like, oh, it's been a pretty slow weekend. And
you're not allowed to say that anymore.
I know, that's exactly it. So this is what happened. We had, I received a message from one of the tenants in the building, the guest staying. I had messaged her a few days prior. Sometimes we do, outside of the app, because we needed to have her switch things, and we build relationships. So at 4:12 in the morning, she let me know that, hi, sorry, I know it's late, but 104 has 3 cop cars in the building, and I think the door's kicked down. So I wake up to this at 7:29 in the morning, and I for sure, first thing I do is send a screenshot to Kelly. She's in spin class, poor lady, trying to enjoy herself, and we had to get going. So the first thing we did was we sent out our concierge. She lives just maybe 20 minutes away. And she got down there to assess the situation. Get the next slide here. Right here was the door. So the police officers had to come and kick the door down. There was yelling, banging about 2:30 in the morning. That's what some of the other guests told us. And then there was a couple in there. We thought it was just a gentleman, but it was a couple. And she was kicked out at 3:30 in the morning, wasn't allowed back in. She called the police because she thought that he was unsafe in there. I think the truth of the matter is that she wanted to get in there. We then saw her messages through Airbnb asking for keys, asking if we had another spare, if we can get in. And this is all happening at 3:30 in the morning. Surprisingly, we didn't get a phone call from the police. So about 30 to 45 minutes later, the police ended up kicking the door down, getting in. He was safe. Just so everybody knows, the gentleman was in there. He was under the influence. And we sent our concierge. She knocked on the door and gave him 30 minutes to get down. So that's why you really want to make sure you have a strong team. Somebody who has a little bit of backbone, who is willing to escort a guest out. So both the male and female they had a few drugs. And the door got fixed. She sent her husband down there and we've replaced it. Now, the thing you have to know is you have to make sure with certain bylaws that you have to replace a door. Does it need to be fire? And that was the same weekend of the fire. So we then started doing an investigation for a fire protective door because it just sat a little close to home. And basically, at the end of the day, I've sent a claim in through Airbnb because we want to obviously get paid for the door. We didn't have to have them that night. We got paid for the night that they didn't stay. And they are in the middle of an investigation to try to pay for the door. And that is the tale of the Airbnb this week. Do you guys have any questions? Yes.
Can you tell us where that is?
Which location? Sure. Mission. Yeah. Mission is one of the busiest that Kelly has.
And you guys have what, 7, 8?
10.
10.
10 in Mission. Yeah. So Maple Ridge is the other busy one too, especially Maple Ridge. Yeah. Chilliwack.
The ideas are churning now.
This is the thing. So if you think about Maple Ridge, they have a burnt down hotel and they have nowhere else to stay. So Airbnbs are very, very popular in Maple Ridge.
Because they burned down their houses?
Well, no, but
So
now they have a place to stay. But the Best Western at some point was getting re-renovated. So it was definitely, yeah.
Wow.
So is there a way to flag those renters?
It is. So now I did the review so that every single sees that and they see all the different things. And now Airbnb knows, they'll flag them. There is always a little bit of a risk that you take, obviously, and that could be with anything like, even renters, like Tales of the Trenches. But what Airbnb does is they usually vet them out quite a bit. So they had good reviews prior to this. It wasn't the worst situation, to be honest. We've had.
we were scrambling for one this week.
Yeah, this was yeah, but so never say you're having a slow weekend if you're having a slow weekend.
That's the biggest lesson
Yeah,
right there.
for sure.
All right. Thank you very much. Round of applause. All right. So that is our series of unfortunate Airbnb adventures. We do have someone talking on the opposite side right now, like later in a bit, about Airbnb, but they're going to talk about the success side of things. But before we do that, we're going to bring up our very own Elisa Donnelly. As most of you guys know, she is a geotechnical engineer, so she's very familiar with, buildings and things like that. She's one of our agents on our team, but because she's got a vast background as an engineer, this girl can research like nobody's business. And that's what she's going to do today, is show you guys her research on what's happening in the city of Chilliwack. Maybe it should be on your radar. So Elisa, come on up. All right, I'll get you mic'd up there, and then just that bottom button there, down arrow.
Perfect. Thank you. Hi, everyone. So today we're going to talk about Chilliwack. Exciting. So here's the map of Chilliwack. So what's interesting about this city? Well, first of all, so Molson Coors back in 2017 purchased a piece of land just over 400,000 square feet, and they constructed their new facilities. The construction was completed in September 2019. So this new facility includes brewing and packaging halls, warehouses, spaces, offices, and hospitality area. I did a research, and I think they employ just about over 100 people. Their facility located just north of Highway 1. So what's exciting, actually, another huge company, Red Bull, actually purchased 15 acres of undeveloped property in Chilliwack Food and Beverage Processing Park. So they will be building facilities close to Molson Coors. What's that? Oh. So here's the location of that land, and actually it is right next to Molson. Again, this will stimulate the local economy, will bring more jobs. And the third one is Canada Educational Park. So Canada Educational Park is a multi-agency, so it comprises of several establishments: University of Fraser Valley, Pacific Regional Training Center, Justice Institute, and Canada Border Services Agency. So they all have training facilities there. Just a bit of stats. So population of Chilliwack right now, just over 100,000. So as of 2022, in the last 5 years, they grew about 8.4%. So you can see steady growth from 2011. You can see numbers are increasing. So average household in Chilliwack is 82,000 a year before tax. And here's a vacancy rates. So we can see, so this is taken from CMHC. So we can see there's a steady trend of decrease in vacancy. So in October 2019, we had 3%. So that was 4.6, 5.3, and now it's 2.6. Overall vacancy is 1.9. And lastly, so this is obviously not a permanent project, construction of Trans Mountain pipe. So you probably heard Kelly, she has a lot of Airbnbs in Chilliwack and Abbotsford, and her Airbnb is doing quite well because of this project. Obviously, so many consultants coming and working on these projects, also laborers, different trades. So Airbnbs in this area are doing very well. The project starts, so it goes through Chilliwack, Abbotsford, and I think it terminates in Langley. Yeah, so just a bit of a stats about this project. Yeah, it starts from Bridal Veil Falls and terminates in Langley. Okay, so this is it for me. Thanks, Cameron.
All right.
So, here we go.
Thank you very much. I mean, I've been heading out to Chilliwack basically twice a week at this point, just because I got a lot of buyers looking out that way. The one thing to note about that's going on in Chilliwack, we'll talk a little bit more about it during the stats, but things are popping out there. Very, very busy market, and we're going to go through those stats in a bit. But yeah, you got to be very prepared to be competitive in that market out there. Okay, again, just quick reminder, we're still running the competition. I'm seeing a few more of you guys tagging us, so there's been some fantastic engagement. We love it, and we're going to be posting those at the end. And without further ado, we're going to get to our final speaker of the night before we do the market updates and the hot deals. We're going to bring up Saromi Lee and Shin Ha. The two of these ladies are absolutely taking charge when it comes to the Harrison Hot Springs area. They're going to be sharing one of their latest acquisitions with you guys, how they're setting it up, and really why looking into some of these vacation areas. So come on up, ladies. And some of you guys remember, we probably, you might have been here when Saromi was here last. She was talking about buying in downtown Vancouver and crushing it then. Now she's flipping out further. And again, Shin, her partner here, excellent. Yeah. So I do have one microphone, so just stand close together when you guys are talking, and I'll let you guys take it away.
Can you hear me? Nope. Hi.
Well, they can hear you on YouTube.
Oh,
you need to speak loud for them.
Okay. So I think some of you guys know me and my business partner Julia. Actually, that's Julia right here. I don't know if you can see her. She's in Europe. Portugal. So she couldn't come here. So I came with Shin. So briefly, if you explain about us, is we're full-time real estate investors, 24/7 real estate. What we have been doing is normally multifamilies. We've done a lot of uglies, actually, especially in downtown. We've done East Hastings. We dealt with our clientels, I would say, top to bottom. We dealt with a really high-end corporate clients. And also we dealt with some of the homeless people. We dealt with the BC housing. So we're pretty adventurous, I have to say. Yeah. So this time, that's Julia right now, and that's Grace, who is our other partner in this deal. And yeah, so this is Harrison Chalet. This is our new project. So this is actually our very, very first pretty property, I have to say. I never bought anything pretty in my life. I always buy ugly, fix it up, right? And hopefully find a nice tenant who will pay higher rent and increase the building value. That's what we've been doing. Why pretty property now? Because but I think we have to go with the trend too. When I first started business with Julia, especially, that was about 15 years ago. We could put whatever bed, whatever TV, desk. The color doesn't match. Who cares? We can call it as a fully furnished, and it rented, even without window in Vancouver downtown. Honestly. But then now, if we do that, people will call us crazy. And we get complaint from Facebook. It's just terrible. So what we understand now is people, it doesn't matter about their budget or age group. They like something pretty. So that's what we're thinking. Okay, we got to change our business model a little bit. So we were kind of looking into especially Airbnb. You know, in the past, people travel, but usually people stay in the hotel. And as we all know now, everyone stays in Airbnb at least once or twice or more, right? And we all hear, oh my God, so and so has a unit in Whistler making so much money through Airbnb. Just recently, I was looking at the Whistler market. They were selling like 400 square feet unit for like almost $1 million, just because you can Airbnb it for entire year, right? So I was thinking, oh, I wish I went to Whistler 10 years ago, maybe too late, I don't know. And then we were looking for other market, and Harrison came up. So just to talk about Julia a little bit more, because she's my major business partner, her and I, we think quite differently. I usually this more, and she usually uses her heart. And I have to say, yeah, I'm always thinking about the numbers, but I do miss things, right? Numbers not always everything. Sometimes your heart will tell you what is the good opportunity. And she's like, Saromi, let's go to Harrison. There's an interesting listing. So we went with a couple other of our business partners. We're all girls. Shin couldn't come because she has 2 little babies at home. So actually, I'll tell you later, but Shin ended up buying this property with us without seeing this property, which is not recommended. So, but anyway, so this is our chalet. The previous owner, I have to say, he is actually a chef who had the vision to create all this beautiful property. There are 3 houses in this 2-acre land. He built 2 houses by himself with his design ideas. But surprisingly, he is actually a prison cook. So I don't know how he got all this vision. And anyways, so he was living in one of the smaller house in the property and renting out the other 2 through Airbnb. And he was able to change the zoning to be commercial zone. So Harrison doesn't mean you can do Airbnb all the time. You have to be in the right zoning. Otherwise, it's like anywhere in BC, right? You have regulations. You have to have your primary residence, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, so now we saw this property, obviously. Julia is like, my heart can feel it. Oh my God, this is it. And I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking, oh, that was last year summer. Is this a good time to buy? I'm like all thinking numbers and all that. But Julia said, come on, Saromi. Like, I never say to you, like, I fell in love with this property. I think we can do well. And think about the Airbnbs. People love, nice place to go and take a vacation. And then I realized, if you're living in Greater Vancouver area and you want to go away for like overnight trip, where can you go? You can think of, okay, Victoria or, Okanagan, but takes about 5 hours by car to go to Kelowna. You don't want to do it overnight. Kelowna means, in my opinion, you're thinking about like 3-4 days, honestly. And overnight trip means you're thinking really Whistler or Harrison. So I'm thinking, okay, that's fine. And so now we're like, okay, well, let's think about what we can do here. And also, having this kind of property in commercial zone is not the opportunity you can always find, right? So now I'm searching. So of course, Harrison Hot Springs. I don't know if anybody went to Harrison Hot Springs. Yeah. What I find from majority of people is, yeah, Harrison Hot Springs is like there's a lake, there's some nice restaurants along the lake, and there are some farms you can go. There's lavender farm, there are dairies. It's really nice, but you can't really use the Harrison Hot Springs unless you're staying in the hotel, right? I knew about that too. So when I did the research, okay, this is a bit of a speculation. I'm just telling you that. In 2037, apparently, the Harrison Hot Springs Hotel, who's currently controlling all the public hot springs water, the contract is going to be done by 2037. I'm like, okay, that's not, I mean, I wish it was 2027, but there's some kind of ending I can see. And maybe I'm thinking too much, but I've been in Iceland or in a Scandinavian spa. Iceland, there's what was it, the really nice lagoon, Blue Lagoon. Yes. So it's really beautiful place. And it's like a global destination. And maybe I'm dreaming too much, but I'm just thinking Harrison Hot Springs does have that base, can make that public hot springs really nice. But we'll see. Well, that's, we'll tell, time will tell, right? So anyways, now that's the good part of the Harrison Hot Springs we found about this property. And buying it was, now it's different story, because she'll tell you more, because, okay, first of all, Shin is a mortgage broker. She's personally my mortgage broker too. I really like her because she does some crazy things like I do. She will go like, even for her own portfolio, I saw it. She would buy like 5 properties in a year. I've seen her doing that, and I've done that. Yeah, and sorry, because I really like the partners who can do this, who can understand what I'm doing too. I'm coming from the background without too much money. You know what I mean? If I have a lot of money at home, yeah, I can buy everything with cash, no problem. But when you don't have a lot of cash to start anything, you have to be very, very creative. What I don't like about the millennials, often I hear, oh, too expensive, I can't buy anything. I personally think that is a bullshit because you can always find a way. You have to find it. Maybe you can start with something small. You know what I mean? Anyways, so that's how I feel about everything. And she fits that bill for me. So that's why she's working with me in this. So she'll tell you more details, but the financing of this kind of property is not easy, because the previous owner, although he had all the right vision and he made a charming property, but he is not someone who does this as a professionally. So he didn't come with all this necessary financial statements for us to be able to apply a good loan from like A lenders, right? So that means starting point is harder. You may have to go to private lender or B lender or C lender, whoever will accept you. So the first thing we did was, there are 2 things happened for us. One thing is, luckily, one of our partner, Julie, she knew some wealthy people who could lend us money. And because she personally know them, they were almost promising us, I could give you guys money, of course, with the interest, right? Interest only loan. And that was one good news. And then the second thing we did was, even though Julie knew her, our lender privately, doesn't mean they were just going to throw you money, right? So you have to prove that this property is worth it. So what we did was actually my husband, Josh, thankfully he used to work at Deloitte and he was doing the real estate funds. That was his job. So what he does well is he's creating a beautiful pro forma. And he's the one who usually deals with the appraiser. So we got the professional appraiser recommended by her team. And Josh basically sent him a nice pro forma and really persuaded him. So actually our buying price, I think it was a 2.58 million or something. So we got appraised value at 3.2 million before we closed the deal. So that was really helpful. And now our job is, of course, we got this loan for a year. We need to quickly work on this property, increase the Airbnb income as much as we can, get a beautiful financial statement, and have to give it to her to to get a proper loan from hopefully a lender. And now she can talk about this.
I guess Saromi covered most of the part when it comes to. So as she said, I'm a mortgage broker, and I used to work at the bank most of my career. 13 years at the HSBC as a branch manager, and 3 years with the RBC as a mortgage specialist. Now I'm in doing a broker job. So I do both residential and commercial side, but residential and commercials are pretty different. And commercials are a little more complicated because when bank assess the lending, they look at all aspects of the deals. So they look at yourself as a client, they look at your properties, they look at the industrial risk, and also they look at the market risk too. So when it comes to Harrison, at first I was pretty hesitant because I wasn't sure about the marketability of these properties. But when I talked to a few commercial, I talked to 12 banks mostly. So I found that some of the banks are pretty interested in properties. The only drawback we had was we didn't have enough proof of cash flow from the previous owners because he was pretty much doing it as a part-time. So what we need to do is, as Saromi said, we just need to build a history to show the bank that we can make a profit to support the debt service the loan eventually. So bank give us about a year. So I'm waiting for summertime to be over. So with our higher cash flow now, I think we can confidently go back to the bank, and hopefully we can do financing plus refinance so we can draw out some of our investments, initial investments, hopefully. I mean, there's no magics when it comes to lending, obviously, but what you have to do is you have to prove that your property or business plan can support the debt. That's all we need to do. So what we're trying to do is we have expenses that we incur. If we can delay the expenses on our papers, then we try to delay so we can show more profit to the bank. And so far, we've been doing quite well on the 3 properties. We have all the bookings, the most of properties, especially for summertime. And also, Saromi and other team members come up with the idea of having a contract with a wedding planner. So the wedding planner is a local person. We're trying to connect it with more local business ladies or owners, and so we can develop more businesses for the properties. So I think that's what we're trying to focus on right now with the properties. Yeah. And that's pretty much about it.
All right. Excellent, guys. I'll get you guys to stay up here, and we'll open up the floor for any questions anyone has. So, yeah, there we go. All right. Does anyone have any questions for Saromi or Jin? Yes. All right. The question is, what's the loan size? That would be a broker asking a broker here.
Yeah, we actually got a private deal, and it's over 1.5 right now. It was actually pretty lucky because we got it from one lender. And when it comes to commercial lending, usually business loans are more expensive than residentials. And even with the A lenders, they will charge you prime plus at least 2% or 3%. And you have to bear in mind that this commercial zoning is in the hospital zoning. So basically for motels, hotels, or those properties are not really popular right now for the bank. So they don't really want to finance those properties. Whereas when it comes to the cash flow wise, it makes more sense to us, right? Because we collect more daily cash flow from those properties. Talking about the property type right now, banks is more focused on multifamily units like duplex, fourplex, or rental units. They're more keen to lend more financings or industrial properties.
All right. Any other questions? Yes. Yep.
How many units is there on sale? Is it just one chalet or is there multiple?
There are 3 units.
So,
But
and,
they're
okay,
different
so
size.
someone, they could be rented separately or someone can book them
That's
separately?
correct. So I think we can take up to 30
some,
people.
yeah.
I think we can accommodate that. And let's say if you're doing a wedding there, then we are making you to book all 3. But otherwise, you can book individually.
All right, so up to 33 people, you said, right?
Yeah.
And so I
Perfect.
have 2 questions. Do you anticipate, will there be, is it seasonal or is there something that you're doing to the property to make it 2 or 3 or 4 seasons?
Yes. So Harrison is known for more summer seasons.
Yeah.
So summertime, obviously, it's going to be busy anyways. But we want to boost up more income. So that's why we want to work with a wedding planner from Chiliwak. So she apparently she said she does about 450 weddings a year. She's very busy. And she actually told me that we can't do it this year because we weren't ready right away. She has some requirements that we have to do it for her. But she said any other chalets or lodge that she's dealing with, they're like pretty much fully booked every weekends of the summer. And then the winter time is the more of a problem. So what we do is, this is our plan, because we can't bring out the hot springs, unfortunately. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna install outdoor sauna.
Ooh.
So Julia is really looking for a beautiful one. So that's what we're gonna put in. And also the autumn time, actually, I forgot to mention, we also have a little, not full solid contract, but we've been getting about 2 months rental from fishery people. I know it's interesting, but that's something that previous owner got it. They always come back, they rent solid 2 months and give us a very high rent. So we're doing a few different things to increase the maximum income.
Excellent.
Also, one thing is there's a ski resort close by, and there's you want to mention that?
Oh yeah. So and also there is a Sasquatch Mountain.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Sasquatch Mountain. I'm not going to compare to Whistler, but it is loved by locals, and it's much cheaper than going to Whistler. So we did have a few teams staying in our chalet to go up to Squamish Mountain.
But with Squamish, they do have
Sasquatch.
they do have a large, like $1 billion plus project
Yes.
I heard
in the
about that
works.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that'll definitely boost things as well.
It's already approved,
Yeah.
just in the way of increase developing the site right now. It's like a 15 minutes from our chalet to the entrance, and also like 8 minutes from our property. There's a community center. They've been building a new pool in the community center, so there are a lot of things going around the area.
Yeah.
Sandpiper. I don't know if anyone likes playing golf. I've been in Sandpiper once. I loved it. And apparently Sandpiper, I heard this from Chiliwak locals, so don't quote on me, but apparently they're also searching for hot springs in Sandpiper area. So yeah.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Interesting. All right. Any other questions? Anyone on YouTube as well? Feel free to throw it in the chat. Any other questions? What I will throw out there, and I know Saromi's already seen it, if anyone is interested in doing what they're doing, we do have a listing in Harrison, literally a block away from the beach with 7 cottages. It's sold? Sold? All right, perfect. Let's connect. It's Diane, Sid, what are we asking for that? What are we at right now, price-wise on that? She's gonna pull it up for us. And there is a possibility that the owner will do vendor financing as well. So some options there. That definitely, from a broker's perspective, makes it a lot easier if they take a first, right? Yeah, exactly. All right. Exactly. All right. Thank you very much, Saromi. We appreciate it. Oh, she ran away from me. Thank you so much, Shin. Appreciate it. All right. So before we kind of dive into the market stats, we're really excited. We've decided to partner with one of our past speakers. I'm not going to say anything really about it. I'm going to let her, because she's got the passion for this. But there's an exciting event that's happening on Saturday. So to discuss that, I'm going to fix this presentation. There we go. Don't forget, we're almost done the challenge here, so keep posting. But why don't you come on up, Alejandra, and talk about your event that you got going on. She had to go around. She realized she was going to get stuck there. So.
Yeah, there's no way I'm passing for that. Okay.
All right, I'll give you that there, so everyone on YouTube can hear you. And hey, welcome back to our stage.
Thank you so much. Okay,
Hey, for those who don't know me, I'm Alejandra from Honeybee Development Group. And at the moment, just to give you a little bit of a background, and since last time we were here, things have kind of exploded.
Well, yes, they have.
So we are builders, supporters, collaborators, developers, and apparently now we're in the teaching space. So out of necessity and out of, so we have mudded, installed floors in the early 20s, going to building, going to developing. Now we are fully on land development. And we have, at the moment, just under $500 million under management. So it's.
You guys are busy.
We're busy. We're busy. I'm not a public speaker as people that know me, but I do my best in front of so many amazing humans. I'm here to collaborate and add value to you. Because I've been in pretty much every single stage. I came when I was 20, I had zero. Like I couldn't spend $5 in a popcorn. And I always say that story because I always remember every stage. So I don't care where stage you're at. I'm here to help you mastermind and get you to jump to the next level. If that's spirituality, mindset, business building, corporate structure, financing, get out of bankruptcy, let me know. So that's that. So because of that, we started doing this every other month meetups on my house. My house is open. I'm Latin. Everything goes. So,
it's true. I've been there.
just get in there. You've been there way too many times. And I'm so grateful for this community. And you allow us to add even more value.
Absolutely.
So if you want to hang out with some crazy people that do amazing things, it's probably a good place to be. And we donate everything to BC Children's. It's not for profit. So my daughter almost died and BC Children saved her. So they stick very close to my heart. So everything that I do goes to them. And if you want to come and hang out and grow, then you help another child have a good future. Absolutely. So that's my home. That's my partner, Mimi Faye. That woman is incredible. Like she's not able to be here because she's swamped. And she's amazing. You really do want to get to know her. She has this incredible heart and she's my better me. Like she's amazing and she really, truly wants to help. So come have wine, beer. We are roasting a pork. Bring your bathing suit and come and just splash and have fun and grow together. Let's grow together. Okay.
Absolutely. Love it. So I'll be there. So make sure you guys come out because I'm going to be definitely making a splash out there. But we are excited to be supporting Alejandra on this. The QR code is there. If you want to book tickets for this, please go to the Eventbrite right now. You can still register. And again, all proceeds from the tickets do go to BC Children's Hospital, as you heard passionately from Alejandra, what it means to her. And like I said, we're excited to support this. And that's why I wanted to take the time to let her come up and let us know what she's doing. And at the end of the day, too, I mean, whether it's this community or you're in other communities, going and networking with other investors and other people doing different things is really how you're going to be able to grow in this industry. And I mean, Marinella said it as well, right? You know, you got to go and meet people, you got to build relationships, and this is what that's all about. So I'm excited. We'll see you on Saturday, and I hope to see some of you guys out as well. All right, we're going to keep things moving. We're going to talk about everyone's favorite topic. What is going on in the market? Now, as a realtor, I get this question literally from everyone. I go to, let's say, have dinner, and I'm talking to someone, and someone at the bar says, hey, you're a realtor. What's going on in the market? Like, it's the question I get all the time, right? So that's why we do this segment, so we can let you guys as investors know what's going on in the market so you can take the appropriate action out there. So when you're looking at a property, you know how to analyze it. You know how to take a look at it and say, yeah, that's the strategy I'm going to implement on that property. Or, you know, I'm comfortable with that investment because X, Y, and Z. So first things first, I showed this a couple of months ago. I wanted to bring it back up. These are a few different statistics that we get from the real estate board. Then we're going to go a little bit more micro in a little bit. So we're comparing 3 different boards here. This is the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver is the green, Fraser Valley is blue, and Chilliwack and District is yellow. Now, what I really want to show you here is the fact that this is our inventory levels. Now, as we headed into 2020, 2021, what was the story we were hearing from the news? Record low inventory everywhere, right? That's why prices are going up. That's why, people are competing in multiple offers. There's just no inventory. And back then, this is kind of 2020, this is 2021, and then 2022. As you can see here, as we head into the spring market, this is the typical trend of the spring market. It kind of really ramps up. But what's happening in our spring market here? It's kind of level. It's going up, but it's going up at a much smaller pace, meaning we're not adding near as much inventory as we typically do in a spring market. And not only that, if we were to compare year over year what's been going on, we only have 8,829 listings in the Greater Vancouver area, whereas in the height of the market here, when all the news was coming out, we had over 11,000 listings. So we have less than 3,000 listings lower than we had back then. And the same goes following suit for Fraser Valley and for Chilliwack as well. So since December, since that inventory hasn't risen quite a bit, we have seen things kind of start to take off in the sales. Now, what else happened kind of January till now? Well, we had 2 interest rates that held, the announcements held, right? Brokers, give me a nod, that was right? But however, just this last weekend, we've had an interest rate increase. However, when we saw them hold the rates, buyers kind of started jumping off the fence. So the next thing I want you to pay attention to, there we go, is the spike in sales happening. As we can see here, this is January, okay? That was when we were kind of at the lowest. Now, this is where we peaked. This is that February, March area. You can see it's an actual peak, right? And then it dropped off a cliff. And that's when the news articles started coming out. 35% less sales month over month, 40% less sales. I mean, it was a big ski slope going down Sasquatch Mountain there, right? However, we've now riding that gondola back up in the sales. So again, buyers jumped off of the fence and started purchasing again. We can see that we had, I can tell you the stats because I look at it every day. There was about just over 1,000 sales in January, okay? As of last month, we had 3,389 sales. So we've tripled the amount of sales per month that we started with at the beginning of the year. And that means that we're sitting now in a seller's market because we're selling. We had 8,000 listings, but we sold 3,000 in GVRD, right? If we look here, we had 4,700 listings in Fraser Valley, and we sold 1,643, and 934 in Chilliwack, and 347. So we're at about that 30% approximate sell-through rate, which means we've pushed back into a seller's market. And what happens when we have a seller's market for a sustained period of time? Can anyone let me know? Prices go up, which is exactly what we have started seeing, right? So we've got Fraser Valley, you can see has started, they had a real ski slope. Fraser Valley took the biggest hit when interest rates went up because they also went up the fastest as everyone was moving out to the valley. However, it dropped drastically, but look at that curve. Prices are definitely coming back up. And one interesting thing to note, when I was looking at Greater Vancouver as an average, Greater Vancouver topped out at about 1.34 million. It's currently back up to 1.31 million. So they've gained a significant amount of that loss. They're only within that $30,000 range, and they're back up to where they peaked. So when people keep saying, "Oh, I don't want to buy because property values keep going down," I said, "Since when?" They've been going up since I've been working. So, but you got to know the stats. You got to know what's going on. Now, the interesting thing we got to pay attention to is the interest rates did just go up. What impact is that going to have? Is it going to put some brakes on some of the buyers again? Brokers, where are fixed rates at? Fixed rates have come up as well a bit, right? Quite a bit. Yeah. Okay. Where are we sitting at about like a 5-year fixed right now, give or take? Five and a quarter, 5 3/4. Okay, but still lower than variable, right? Yeah. So what we're seeing is that a lot of the buyers out there, especially those non-investors, they're more risk adverse. They've been going fixed, and people were getting sub 5 for a little while a few months ago, right? A couple of weeks ago. There you go. So people kind of jumped off because they could see that their borrowing capacity went up, and they were able to lock in that sub 5. When they hear stories about, oh my God, people are paying 6.5% on variable, sub 5 sounds really, really good, right? So people were buying. It's going to be interesting to watch the next month or so and to see what the buyers do in the market. But anytime there's a little bit of fear that happens in the market, what do we need to do as investors? Warren Buffett says it best, right? When people are fearful, we get greedy, and when people are greedy, we get fearful. We had a little bit of greed, now there's a little bit of fear. There might be some opportunities where there's a pause in the market where we can go and get maybe something under contract without a lot of bidding, right? It's yet to be seen because inventory is still very, very low. So make sure you're working with some great agents, and we'll help and see what we can do there. Mike's like, oh yeah. All right, let's dissect some of the markets and see what's going on here. We kind of going to take it from out east and work our way into Vancouver. And this is the first time I've noticed some stats that have really changed since I've been talking. I mean, I've been talking about these for years. And all of a sudden I saw the change when we put a negative in front of the percentages. Now we're going to start seeing some plus signs coming back. So again, very interesting. So Chilliwack right now, year over year is still down at 22%. But again, I have really seen that price rise because a couple of months ago, this average price was under $800,000. Okay. But this is the stats we really want to pay attention to, right? We have less than 45% less listings than we did the previous year. So we have a lot less inventory, 43% down. I mean, there's only 47 townhouses on the market in Chilliwack right now. Like, that's not much. And that's kind of that missing middle that we talked about with Mike, right? People need that attached, those other options, and only 67 condos. And I know there's a significant amount of condos and townhouses that are in that market, but people are not putting them up for sale, or they're not being developed fast enough, right? So inventory is significantly down. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the night, I am definitely feeling it because I have one client and I feel so bad for him. He's a first-time home buyer. It feels like 2021 again. I've lost 7 times in multiples for him. And unfortunately, the prices are right at the top, like trying to buy what we need for him. We're right at the top of his budget, and people are going 30, 40, 50,000 over. Abbotsford down about 10% still over last year, but townhouses are only down slightly over last year's numbers. Condos 10.6. Again, the numbers are dropping on the amount of listings we have. Well, 46%, that's a significant drop on the townhouse market. And what we're seeing is that a lot of people who might have been in condos are like, we're seeing townhouses are really, really hot right now. Whoop. Townhouses are really, really hot because, again, it's that affordability factor. People are upsizing from condos or they're downsizing from houses. And that's kind of that middle point they're going. And a lot of people are holding on to them because they don't want to sell because they're fearful of what's next. What do I do when I sell my house? Where am I going to go? Mission, love Mission. Here's that plus sign I was talking about. We've actually had prices increase over year now. So we're up over last year's numbers, down about 6% only on detached. Again, that number was below $1 million a couple of months ago. We're back over the $1 million as an average. Listings are down quite a bit. I mean, there's only 22 listings in townhouses and 48 in, I mean, this one cracks me up. 48, but we're up 92%. Just goes to show there's a lack of inventory in general in these markets. But we're seeing Mission is really, how many of you guys were in the room when we had Stacey Crawford from the city of Mission come and speak? That was really good, right? So he was showing how much, push they're doing for development, how they're working with developers. One of the interesting things when I was talking to Stacey, this was like on the side, he and I had a one-on-one. I said, how long does it take for a developer to buy up the parcels of land, go and put an application in for, a rezoning and get it towards the point where they can start selling pre-sales? He goes, about 18 months. Like 18 months. I'm like, I talked to the city of Maple Ridge. They said it could take up to 4 years. So the city of Mission is being very, very progressive on working with developers to try to revitalize things. And again, if they can make that waterfront, community that they've been pushing for about 5 years happen, that's going to change Mission significantly. I mean, the landscape's already changing. How many of you guys have been through Mission and noticed the cranes in the air and the fact that they're doing a multi-story tower, right? I mean, you know one of them that's going on, and then another one of our IPG members is doing a second tower. We're getting a change in the landscape, change in the scenery out there. Okay, City of Langley, detached homes are up 0.08% at an average of 1.7 million. Listings are down. Townhouses are pretty stable. Condos are stable. And again, inventory all down out there. The one interesting thing that I always find with the Langley market is there's a significant amount of development in that market, especially in the condo and townhouse market. However, saying that, things have stayed pretty stable, even though there's so many new projects coming online all the time. And that's really because of the city of Langley. We have a high population growth, right? The average population growth is around that 12%, which is pretty significant. And that's because with Langley, from an affordability factor, it's still relatively affordable compared to Vancouver, of course. And it's kind of the last stop people are willing to go before they just kind of live, work, play out in the valley, right? So that's one reason why we find it's very stable in that market, and we continue to bring projects in that market out. Now, the other thing is, keep in mind, Langley's getting a SkyTrain. That's going to be super exciting. SkyTrain is set to complete, excuse me, around 2028, okay? Surrey market, again, up a little bit in the Surrey market, pretty stable on townhouses and condos. Inventory down across the board. Maple Ridge, again, not a huge drop over last year, 5.9. Those prices are really coming up in the detached and townhouse market. We are going to start seeing that push into the condo market as an affordability. You know, again, as things start going up with the detached, it's going to bring all the attached up to catch up because that's the affordability play there. Okay, moving into Vancouver. This is always a market I've been really watching because they did not take near the hit when the interest rates went up as the Valley did. The Valley really got hammered hard. But again, we're seeing that upswing the Valley is taking. Vancouver, they're down about 1.8%, but the average in Vancouver East is over 2 million now, right? So people in this category, there are definitely people who are getting mortgages on these types of properties, but a lot of people are also able to pay cash when they're buying into Vancouver detached, right? We're seeing it up by 4.5% on condos. And again, listings down across the board. It's shocking to see Vancouver East only has 93 condos. Blows my mind. And then Vancouver West, I mean, you know, $4.1 million is an average, you know, but it's up. It's still going up. And this is the one stat that I've noticed has stayed very stable through the whole past year. If you go back and watch some of the replays, it's been kind of going up a little bit, down very slightly. It's stayed very, very stable. Again, $4.1 million homes. Those people who are buying those properties are probably not nearly affected by interest rates because they've got either very large down payments or they're paying cash. And it's a market where we have a lot of more wealthier or affluent people going. 1.6 for a townhouse, and condos are up over $1 million in the area. We see inventory again down. The inventory has been down throughout the year in Vancouver West. So I like to just show the differences between those. But here's some news from the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board director. Housing market saw a boost of property listings. I mean, it did month over month, but we saw year over year, it's still down, right? The housing market's on injection of supply in May as new listings surged by more than 40% over April, but April there was like nothing on the market. Typically, we would see an influx of inventory earlier in the spring sales cycle. The series of interest rate hikes during the latter half of 2022 had many sellers and buyers in a holding pattern for most of the year. Inventory has been trending upwards. We did see that. But, you know, again, to me, that increase was not significant like we've seen in past years. Upward since December 2022, providing more choice, which in turn will hopefully spur on even more listings. We can really hope, because as investors, we don't want to compete. Even for my first-time home buyers, I don't want to compete if we can avoid it. But knowing that there might be opportunities to find some great properties that you can get under contract. Like Saromi said, maybe go target the ugly ones, right? Go target those ugly ones that no buyer wants to move into, because you know as an investor, you can add value and turn that property around. Like, everyone's like, yeah. I mean, Derek and I, we're going to take a look at a real ugly one tomorrow. He's going to be shocked when he walks in there. I got sick after spending 4 hours in there on an inspection with another buyer, and he was a home buyer, and he got turned off by it. I said, "This is an investment property." I'm like, I tell you. So maybe we'll post some stuff on social media. All right, so what's going on in our hot deals? Again, we talked about the city of Langley and how there's a lot of stuff happening there. We have a new pre-construction project coming out in the city of Langley, and these units are moving fast. We have exclusive access to this right now. The public launch is estimated for around June 24th, I believe. So we have the ability to start looking at these in advance, start pre-selecting units, and in the next week or so, we're going to be turning those into contracts. This is the Unity by Whitetail Homes. South Langley condo starting at around $334,900. It's got $434. That's very affordable in that area, I tell you. One bed and dens, two and den homes. you know, pretty standard finishings in today's day and age, 9-foot ceilings, quartz countertops, laminate floors, the works. They're actually very gorgeous units. A lot of our investors have bought into Whitetail Homes over the last few years. Kelly herself has several Airbnbs in some of the buildings that this developer has developed. And this is the key. It's only a 9-minute walk from that future Langley SkyTrain. Let's start doing the math here. When was that SkyTrain going to be done? 2028, right? What are we, 2023? Okay, so approximately 5 years, absolutely. So if we have a build time of about 24 months, okay, that's going to put us at 2025, gives us 3 more years. If we hold on to this property for 5-year term, like most investors typically will hold for 5 years and then reevaluate what they want to do, that gives you 7 years. You're well into what the impact of that SkyTrain will have had in that area. Now, who remembers when the Evergreen line expanded, right? We all know what happened. Does anyone drive around Lougheed Town Center? That was not like that 10 years ago when I moved here. Like, the amount of towers and development is insane. Langley's actually getting 2 towers being built right now. I don't know if you guys knew that. First time ever, towers being built in Langley. Phenomenal. So here's the pricing. So feel free to take a photo if you wanted that. Price is starting at $344,900. 2-bed and flex. These are phenomenal prices. You know, I was selling 2-bed and flex last year for over $700. So these are phenomenal prices to get into. We have a promo for $1,000 assignment fees plus GST. And the deposit structure is going to be 5% on your right of rescission, 5% within 30 days, and 5% in approximately a year. So 15% total, nice and spread out for you guys. Estimated completion July 2025. If you have any questions about this, feel free to ask me. I've got information for you guys. We have pre-registered about 18 of these, and we don't even have floor plans yet. Okay, so that's, people are literally buying them based on the size of the units, because the sizes are actually very nice for the types of projects that they're going. And again, we know Whitetail, so we know typically what their layouts look like. All right, this is the location. So this is where the SkyTrain is going to be. It's not the greatest map, but this is Fraser Highway, an easy shot down Fraser Highway, about a 10-minute walk, and you're at the future SkyTrain by the casino there. They've got 1 bedroom starting at around $498, but the ones I really like are $568, right? So that's a good size 1 bedroom, because most, like, I've been seeing a ton that are under 500 as a standard in most cases. And the price per square foot on something like that is around $735, give or take. I'd have to look at the price list again, but pretty good price per square foot starting point. Okay, so flip out your phones. We're going to wrap things up here. We got some QR codes thanks to our good friend Jury. This is our social media accounts. If you guys want to keep in touch with us throughout the month before our next meetings, we got Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. See a few people there. I'll wait for a second. If you guys are doing it on YouTube, feel free to scan as well. Oh, yeah. Okay. Right. I just got notified. I have to refresh the presentation because we have some winners that need to be announced. Okay, let's try that again. All right. For those of you guys who don't know and are in, how many of you guys are on TikTok right now? You don't have to be creating content, but how many of you guys are at night just scrolling through TikTok, clicking into the videos? That's definitely me. But hopefully you guys scroll, check us out. Both Kelly and I are on TikTok as well. We're trying to create a lot of content to educate you guys on what's going on in the market. And every once in a while, you can catch me dancing and things like that, right? All right. Also check out the podcast that I have. This is the Manning Up on Real Estate podcast. We're on multiple different platforms. Obviously, Spotify and Apple are the 2 more popular ones. Feel free to scan that. We're going to be working on some hopefully new interviews coming soon. I know I've said that before, but we're just trying to figure out some logistics with possibly trying to maybe push for a studio if I can. That'd be pretty cool. See if Kelly will let me do that. All right. And again, if you guys would like to keep in touch with our community more than just these monthly events, we do have a Facebook online community. Feel free to scan that, join the community online, because this is a great way that you guys can keep in touch, post deals that you guys are working on, ask questions, post articles that are relevant. Like to really continue to build this community. We're getting a lot of great people. And also for those who tune in, how many of you guys listen to the Monday morning market updates that I do? Couple? All right, perfect. We do this every single Monday where I will go live on the private Facebook group and I will talk boots on the ground, what is happening in the market, what we're sensing from, let's say, open house traffic to what I'm seeing in multiple offers. Sometimes we talk about current events. So every Monday, 10:30, you'll see me jump on live and do that chat with you guys. And all right, here we go. Let's talk about our winners. This is what people are saying right now. Look at all those amazing posts. That looks fantastic. All right. And our winners for tonight's book, we're going to do you have it on one page or?
On the next page is both winners.
Okay, perfect. So the winners for our books, we're going to go second prize for this one, and RSP secret for number 1 is, all right, we've got Niha. All right, come on up. Congratulations. You win this amazing book to learn how to start investing. Come on up. We'll get a photo with you. Come on, Drury. There we go. Congratulations.
I need money for that too.
Maybe you'll get some tips in there and you can learn how to do it no money down, right? And Julia. So Julia is our winner from YouTube. So Julia, just reach out to me and we'll figure out how to get you your book. Congratulations, Julia. All right. And with that being said, I'm going to let you guys get back to your night. This is our next meeting, so make sure you mark it down. July 20th is going to be back here in this room. And again, if you can't make it, there is always the option to watch on YouTube. But without anything left for me to say, thank you so much for coming out. We still have lots of food, wine, beer. Have some fun. Go introduce yourself to someone new. As Marinella said, it's all about your network. And we hope to see you guys back out next month.